When people think of Krakow, they picture cobbled streets, the medieval old town overlooked by the castle, ancient legends and myths. Today I'm heading to the most eastern district in Krakow, a place that has none of the colour or the fairy tale charm of the old town. I'm going back to communist era Poland. Let's take a tram to Nowa Huta. Nowa Huta is one of only 2 pre-planned socialist realism districts ever built in the world anywhere. The other one being in Russia. It was built by the Soviet Union and swallowed up a huge amount of agricultural land. Work on the district began in June 1949 and builders from all over Poland came to work on what was a huge project. The conditions were tough. The builders were often sleeping in tents during Poland's bitter winters. The city became home to over 100,000 inhabitants, almost half of which found work at the newly established Lenin steelworks. Anyway, that's enough jabbing from me. Let's go and explore Nowa Huta. And Nowa Huta used to have a reputation for being a bit of a rough area, and tourists were advised not to visit. As more and more steelworkers lost their jobs, life became tougher in Nowa Huta. These days, things have changed. But one thing that hasn't changed is the milk bar. Now, I visited a milk bar in Krakow. It was a milk bar only in name. The one I'm about to go in now is as authentic as you can get. Now, I'm not really that hungry, but I can't pass on the opportunity to go in and at least have a bowl of Zurich. So let's check it out. I've no idea what's going to be on the menu. It's definitely not going to be in English, so I'll probably just go for some Zurich or something like that. So I tried to use Google Translate for the menu. It wasn't working too good. It had things like vegetables with the table and things like that. So I've gone for what I had last time, which now I must admit it doesn't look great, but last time it was really, really good, really tasty. So this is Zurich. I've gone for Zurich with kielbasa and compote, which I don't think I've ever had before. It's really good. I've loads of stuff to choose from. It's I see lots of people buying bags of pierogi to take with them. Let's try the compote. Okay. Just like strawberry juice. I think there's a couple of strawberries dancing around in there. Following the end of World War II, Poland fell under communist rule. The majority of people in the country were poor, and milk bars offered cheap and nourishing food. It was common for businesses to offer its workers free meals, but for those without a canteen, the workers would head towards milk bars. After the fall of communism, milk bars began to disappear. The ones that are around today are still subsidised by the government. And now to show you how much Nowa Huta has changed, I'm going to visit a coffee shop. So this is a really cool place that I did actually come to 2 years ago. It's a bit different to the milk bar I've just been in, as you can see. So I got myself a lemon tart and Americano. And so that came to £3.50. And my bank account has just told me that the soup and the compote in the milk bar came to £1.13. So there's the difference. Let's give this lemon tart a go. A couple of years ago I had a passion fruit cheesecake, which was absolutely amazing. And that's good as well. That's very sour. Lovely stuff. Now I've stuffed my face with Zurek and some lovely cake. Let's go and check out a bit of Nowa Huta. So Nowa Huta is separated into districts, and in true Soviet style, the names of the districts are A, B, C and D. Now I'm stood in District C, and if you look at the buildings, they're completely symmetrical. You look on one side, and then look on the other. It's exactly the same all the way up. During the construction of Nowa Huta, there were no plans to build any place of worship. This didn't go over too well with the local people. Poland is obviously a very Catholic country. So right from the beginning, there were protests to have a church built on this site, led by the future John Paul II. In 1956, the communist authorities gave the go-ahead, and this cross was erected on the proposed site of the church. However, in 1958, the authorities changed their mind, and instead of building a church, they built a school. There were plans to remove the cross, which led to street riots. On one particular evening, 4,000 defenders of the cross battled with police who used batons, water cannons and dogs against the people. It's estimated that approximately 200 people died in the riots. It wasn't until 1966 where a church was finally built in Nowa Huta. In the early 70s, the cross fell into disrepair and was rotting away, much to the pleasure of the communist authorities. However, one night when the officers were away from their posts at the May Day celebrations, the people erected a new cross. In 2002, this church was finally built on the original site next to the school. Well, apparently there's a museum around here somewhere, but I can't find the bloody thing. On Google Maps it says there's a big tank outside. So I'm literally stood on this spot looking at Google Maps to see the most recent reviews to see if it's open or closed. And 2 weeks ago someone said it's open, just look for the tank. So I turned around and went that way, and then the blue dot was telling me to come back this way, so I turned around again and he was there all the time. Look at that, I can't believe I was stood in front of that using Google Maps to find a tank. Stood outside the museum as well, looking for directions to the museum. Well, the museum obviously doesn't get many visitors. It's all in Polish. Imagine that in Poland. So this section here appears to be about prisoners in Nazi camps. We've got various models of how people were forced to live. And over here we've got the actual uniform. Well, that was a very unusual experience. They opened the museum just for me, and I walked around. It's a small museum, there's only 2 rooms, it's free admission, and I'm looking at all the stuff, everything's in Polish, and then as I came out, some lady wanted me to fill in, I guess, some kind of guest book. But I wasn't sure what to put because I don't speak Polish and she didn't speak English. So I kind of just put my name in there, and then she was saying jeden or something that I didn't know whether she was asking for a rating or something like that. Anyway, she filled that bit in for me. And then just as I left, she gave me this, which is all information about all the things on display there. Well, there we go. The actual, these, which we've just looked at, actually works and pictures of former prisoners of the concentration camps. So people who were actually in the camps made these. That would have been nice to know when I was looking at them, but anyway, bless them. They let me have a look round, so that was good. There were plans to build a theatre and a town hall in Nowa Huta, but these plans never came to fruition. However, in 1955, the Theatre Ludowe was built. The idea was to spread high culture and indoctrinate the area's working class. The plan backfired, and the theatre instead became a stage for political debate, discussion and resistance. Wonder if we can actually go in. Probably not. So this is the Lord's Ark Church, which was the first house of worship built in Nowa Huta. Now, the people who built this had no help from the authorities at all. It was the local people that built it. They had to mix cement with spades, and they needed 2 million stones to put this thing together. The first cornerstone was laid by John Paul II himself. Don't think he likes me being in there. Maybe it's the hat again. I keep forgetting to take my hat off. I'm offending Catholics all across Poland. Sorry guys, I just forget. Right, looks like my next stop is going to take me right through the residential part of Nowa Huta again. So let's hope the people are friendly. So we're just leaving the area with all the big tower blocks just to my left and behind me, and then we come out onto this road and look at this, completely different. Nice to see a pride flag up in the bedroom window there. When I was drinking vodka with the Polish guys outside the chip van in Zakopane, one of them looked at my Converse trainers with the pride laces, and he was like, what's this? You know, why you got them on? He didn't say anything else. I don't know whether he was offended by them or whether he thought it was a sign that I might be up for a bit of fun. Yeah, I just told him, I said, look, someone gave them to me, and he seemed happy with that answer. I mean, someone did give them to me, someone on the Gay Pride March. Well, this is unexpected. Didn't know about this. Look at the huge house behind it as well. This can't be Nowa Huta. What's going on? So for anyone that's interested, that church that I've just come across and had a look inside is called Kościół Matki Bożej Podsjeżdżenia w Krakowie. So easy enough to remember. So today I wanted to capture the grim, grey, brutalist architecture of a socialist realism city. But the sun's been shining and I actually find Nowa Huta quite beautiful. Now I've actually been in one of these up near the salt mines in Krakow. Oh, look at this. A lovely old wooden church. It's having a bit of work done on it, so I don't think we'll be able to go inside, but we can try. So I'm now in a little village called Krvešovice, which is just on the other side of the Nowa Huta lake. And as you can see, it's very different around here. So these two buildings, this one and this one, which again are symmetrical and identical, this is the former administration officers of the old Lenin steelworks, which employed roughly half of Nowa Huta's population. Now, a huge amount of agricultural land was taken away to build these steelworks, which was very controversial because there was no demand for steel in this area, and it was also impractical because to make the steel they had to get the coal from Silesia and the iron ore from the Soviet Union. And despite all that, they still managed to produce 7 million tons of steel every year. I've never been up here before, and this is pretty much as far as I'm allowed to go. I'm not allowed to go into the actual steelworks, which is still functioning. It employs a lot less people now. You can do tours, but you have to book them in advance. Let's just see what happens. Got going. You can book tours with, it's a company called like Krakow Communist Tours or something, and they'll give you a big tour around Nowa Huta and bring you up here and give you a tour of this place as well. It's supposed to be cool. It's a bit above my budget, and I do prefer going out and exploring places by myself, so, but if you've got the cash, it's supposed to be worthwhile. And because of the continued threat of the Cold War, when designing the city, the planners built bunkers underneath most of the buildings. There are enough bunkers for every resident in Nowa Huta, and you can visit a couple of them. One of them is in here, but according to Google Maps it's closed. Well, I've got this far. Yeah. Well, unfortunately Google Maps was right. No shortages of churches in Nowa Huta these days. You'll notice when walking down the streets of Nowa Huta just how wide they are. The city planning was influenced by the ongoing threat of the Cold War. Wide streets meant that fires wouldn't be able to spread. All of the streets are lined with trees. The theory behind that was that the trees would absorb any nuclear blast. So I'm back in Ronald Reagan Square, which means my day in Nowa Huta has come to an end. I've had a fantastic day. I have been up to this area once before, but I've covered more of it today. It's a fantastic, interesting area, and I love the architecture. I don't think it's ugly at all. Last time I came here I was slightly on edge because I'd read things on the internet about is it safe, and horror stories about people being attacked and things like that. People don't care. Literally, they're just going about their lives. I'm stood in the middle of Nowa Huta right now with a GoPro pointing at me. No one's looking at me. No one gives a shit, basically. So don't worry about coming up here. It's completely safe. You're probably more likely to be the victim of crime in the city centre. As I said, people up here just getting on with their lives. if you're interested in all things Soviet, then this is definitely a place you'd want to come and visit if you're in Krakow. It is basically a half-hour tram ride from the city centre, which will drop you off right here in the heart of Nowa Huta.